While Bloomberg projects this new birth control method has the potential to halve the $10 billion female contraceptives market and make a significant dent into condom sales globally. To dig deeper into the funding and acceptance issues surrounding male contraceptives, let's bring in Erin Hamlin, Executive Director of the Male Contraception Initiative. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Now, we saw that the Indonesian government was trying financial incentives to get men to be proactive about birth control. What are some of the initiatives around the world that are working?
Interestingly, over in Erlangen University, they are focusing on a male contraceptive called Ganda Rusa. And if that were to reach market, that would be a new male contraceptive that would be implemented likely as an oral contraceptive that would be reversible.
And as you mentioned, Ganda Rusa, that's a herbal option that people are looking at. There's also anti-epin drugs in development which can be taken orally or injected. But in terms of the other methods that you're seeing, perhaps trends that you're seeing in this market, what are the standouts for you?
For us, there are some vasocclusion devices, like you mentioned, Vasogel, which has the intellectual property rights from that were purchased from Rysug. Epin, as you mentioned, from Epin Pharma. And what we focus on is a lot on non-hormonal approaches that don't focus on sperm production. And within that category, there are a lot. And the NIH is also funding research that focuses on hormonal contraceptives and contraceptives that do affect sperm production.
Now, it does seem to have been a really long and slow process to get male contraceptives funded and to get them to the mass market stage. Meanwhile, the opposite could be said when it comes to male enhancement drugs. So what are the biggest barriers for these big pharmaceutical companies in getting male contraception products to market?
I think a lot of previous focus has been on hormonal approaches, and you have a lot of side effect issues with that. And because you're targeting sperm production, you have a delay between the time the drug takes to work and then the time it takes for all the sperm to move out of the system. Now we have more advances in biological technology, and we have researchers that are able to focus on non-hormonal approaches, things that look at sperm movement, fertilization, movement through the vas deferens. So here we're looking at other options that don't deal with sperm production and don't have hormones. And we think because of these new options that are coming to be more advanced in terms of the research, that we think these options are going to be more likely to happen.
Now let's look at competition. What's your take on whether male contraception will impact the very lucrative female birth control market?
So one question there is, in your commenting on Bloomberg's analysis, he seemed to think that it was going to be replacing existing contraceptives, but that's not necessarily the case. It could be supplementing them. So if you could have both male and female partners both contributing to a contraceptive at the same time. Also, in a lot of cases, it's still going to make sense to use a condom while at the same time using another option. So in some places, we may see a replacement in terms of what's used, and so one contraceptive shifting out to bring another one in its place. But in many cases, it would not be surprising, and in fact, would be likely that we would see a supplement in terms of a new contraceptive, with the new male contraceptive coming to market, that being something that's being added to the mix and being added on top of contraceptives that are already used within a particular relationship.
Now, Erin, I want to look at this concept of overpopulation. We know that the UN is predicting that between 2017 and 2050, half the world's population growth will come from just 9 countries: India, Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Pakistan, Ethiopia, the United Republic of Tanzania, Uganda, Indonesia, and the United States. So what role, if any, should governments play in funding male birth control options?
Well, I think they should definitely play a larger funding. Right now, there's a huge gap in terms of funding for male contraceptive research. We've done some work with independent researchers looking at modeling, the modeling being, given that a new male contraceptive introduced, how many unplanned pregnancies would that avert? And while that's not published, preliminary evidence suggests that that number is quite large, and that would definitely play a role in terms of population growth.
And do you think perhaps with this economic growth this population growth that we're looking at, could that perhaps be the tipping point to get male leaders and male, whether it's politicians or business leaders, to take a more proactive role in trying to curb the population?
We hope so. It's definitely a road that can be taken. In terms of opportunity there, you look at the options that are available for men. You got vasectomy, condoms, and if you want to stretch, there's withdrawal. But other than that, there's not really anything there. And so there's a huge opportunity here in terms of what can be done.
We'll have to see if businesses take advantage of that. Thank you so much, Erin Hamlin, Executive Director at the Male Contraception Initiative.